Graduates may be seated. Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2023 South Haven High School graduation ceremony. At this time, I'd like to invite Senior Class President Cammie Butler to give the welcome.
Good afternoon, graduates, staff, parents, and guests. I'm happy to welcome you to the South Haven graduation ceremony of the class of 2023. Sorry. We are here today to celebrate and honor this year's graduates. We have all worked hard to be in this very moment, and I believe that each graduate here deserves to be in this spot. And as we come to the end of our time here at South Haven, we have a lot to reflect back on. Now it is time to look forward and welcome the future ahead of us. Sorry. I would like to thank all parents, family, and friends for their love and constant support, as well as the staff for their guidance and patience. We truly owe you all that we are. Although the last 4 years have been filled with memories and good times, it was also filled with challenges that we didn't think we could overcome, but thanks to the constant support from each of you in the crowd, we did it. We are graduating. We are so grateful to be surrounded by so many people who have never stopped believing in us. We are graduating today because of all that you have done for us. Please enjoy the rest of the ceremony. Thank you.
And now Senior Class Vice President Cyrus Stuckey, she will come to the stage and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all stand and remove your caps, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our commencement speaker today is Mr. John Showman. Mr. Showman is presently the principal at Wellington Christian Academy and has been a teacher, coach, and administrator for the past 41 years. He spent 16 years at South Haven as a science teacher and coach and 10 years as a superintendent. He is currently our Kent Oakland representative and a deacon at the South Haven Baptist Church. Please welcome Mr. John Showman.
Well, you know you've been around a long time when all the board members are either students that you had or students that were here when I was an administrator. So it is a pretty awesome feeling of accomplishment how our students have grown up to be wonderful people of responsibility and very important in our community. I want to thank the graduating class of 2023 for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. We have, I think, still about 45 minutes that I think Mr. Levan mentioned that I still had to work on you guys. So, I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity. So, South Haven Board of Education, administrators, parents, friends, and family, and most importantly today, South Haven graduates of 2023. It is an honor to be here. You know, some of you that are a little bit older that have already been through graduation, you probably can't name your commencement speaker, and you definitely probably can't remember what they said. So from that point of view, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible, maybe 44 minutes. You wonder, what is graduation? So graduation is where the commencement speaker tells the graduating students, who are dressed in pretty much identical caps, identical gowns, that success in life is determined by individuality. And so that's kind of what graduation is like. So when you guys are all dressed like you are together, still individuality is very, very important. An important thing to remember today is that you'll never have students and graduates, you'll never have more energy, you'll never have more enthusiasm. You'll never have more brain cells, and you'll never have more hair than what you have today. So remember that. This is a great time in your life, an exciting time in your life. So take full advantage. Now, seriously, I'm here today to tell you that everything that you do in life matters. It makes a difference. You make a difference, and you can continue to make a difference. Mark Twain famously said, don't let your schooling interfere with your education. I'll say that one more time. Don't let your schooling interfere with your education. Whether you go to school after here and have a formal education someplace or formal schooling, you'll still have an education. You're really right now at the point of your life where you're really going to start learning. And that's a great opportunity. So some keys to success in life, some keys to enjoying life and making an impact in life, which everything, as I said earlier, makes an impact, is if every day you will be the best you can be in whatever you're doing and help to make the others around you be the best they can be. Let me say that one more time. Be the best you can be in whatever you're doing and help to make those around you to be the best that you can be, because what you do does matter. How many graduates have heard of the butterfly effect, or people in the audience? You ever heard of the term the butterfly effect? It was in the 1960s. It was kind of a theory that science during the 90s kind of proved to be very, very true, very accurate, kind of really a law. And what that butterfly effect says is if a butterfly flaps its wing in China, it affects the weather in the United States or other places around the world. So if just the flapping of a butterfly, it affects those things around you. And I wanted to use kind of an example of that. I was watching a speaker, and he talked about a guy named Norman Borlaug. And several years ago, Norman Borlaug, he's a geneticist. He's a geneticist. This is a farming community. And he was a geneticist that worked with corn and wheat. And ABC News gave him Person of the Week award one time. And the reason they gave him Person of the Week award is they said he had saved, through his work, he had saved 2 billion people from starvation because of the genetics that he had developed. Now think about that. Only 2 billion people from starving to death. This geneticist had designed the crops, corn and wheat, that grew to keep them alive. Now, would you kind of say he was deserving of Person of the Week? You know, I wonder what the person the week before did. Save 3 billion people? I think there's only 7 billion people on this earth, so I mean, you kind of run out of what you can do for Person of the Week. So he was the Person of the Week, but then you got to ask yourself, was it him, or was it a man by the name of Henry Wallace, whom served as both Vice President and Secretary of Agriculture under FDR years ago? Well, why would you say Henry Wallace? Well, Henry Wallace, he was the one that, when he was Vice President, passed the legislation and put that research facility down in Mexico that Norman Borlaug, that he worked in to develop the genetics for the wheat and the corn. So maybe it was Henry Wallace should have been Person of the Week. He was flapping his wings and making things happen. Not only was he doing that, he's doing other things. So maybe it should have been Henry Wallace. But then you stop and think, and maybe it's not Henry Wallace, but maybe it should have been George Washington Carver. How many of you heard of George Washington Carver? You ever heard of him? You ever heard of the peanut scientist that developed all different kinds of ways to use the peanut? Maybe it was George Washington Carver, because when George Washington Carver was at Iowa State, Henry Wallace's father was a professor there, and George Washington Carver would work in his labs, and Henry Wallace, as a 6-year-old boy, would come and spend time with Henry Wallace. And it was during that time that he developed a love for agriculture. And through that love, he became Secretary of Ag, and he also became vice president, and he established these research facilities around the world, and one of which Norman Borlaug worked at and became and developed the way to save 2 billion lives. So maybe person of the week should have been, maybe that person of the week should have been George Washington Carver. Or maybe it should have been Moses and Susan Carver, who were good friends with George's mothers. George's mom's name was Mary, and they lived on a Missouri farm in northern Missouri. And back during the days of have you ever heard of Quantrill Raiders? How many have heard of Quantrill Raiders? Remember your Kansas history graduates? Remember that? Kansas history? Well, Quantrill Raiders raided border towns in Kansas and went other towns. They were anti-abolition, or they were pro-slavery. Well, Mary Washington, she was black, and they raided the Carvers' town, and they grabbed Mary, they killed her, and they drug off her little boy, George. And Moses and Susan Carver, who were against slavery but were friends with Mary Washington, they were crushed that their friend was killed. But then when they realized that her son had been taken away by Quantrill Raiders, they said, how can we save little George? Well, they were not very well to do. The Carvers were very poor farmers. They had one horse, and they took that horse, they communicated with Quantrill Raiders, they communicated with them, and in the dead of winter in January, Moses Carver, he rode the horse up, traded that horse for that little black boy, that little George, and he stuffed him inside of his jacket and walked him home. He had to walk miles to get him home. George lived. They raised George Carver. He became George Washington Carver, one of the greatest scientists in the agricultural world that the world has ever known. So maybe it should have been Moses and Susan Carver that were flapping their wings, that they should have been person of the week for ABC News. Instead, it was Norman Borlaug. But through all of that, it all came to be that somebody developed the genetics that helped to save the lives of 2 billion people. So that's what the butterfly effect. Point is, graduates are asking me, what does the butterfly effect have to do with me? Right now, I'm thinking about my reception. I'm thinking about I got to walk across that stage. The point is that everything you do in life matters. And you have an opportunity to make the lives of those around you better, or you have the opportunity to make the lives of those around you worse. You have that choice. This is the greatest time of your life. You'll never have more energy, enthusiasm, or hair than what you have right now. So I encourage you, South Haven graduates of 2023, make every day count. Make it the best day ever. Do your best, and most importantly, help those around you to have the best day ever also. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Showman. Now to give the salutatory address is 2023 class salutatorian, Cole Weens.
Will Michael Heater please stand up? Oh, there he is. Okay. Thank you. That concludes the mic check. I would like to thank everyone for being here. And as you may know, but if you don't, I'm Cole Weens, and I'm the class of 2023 salutatorian. and I'm just going to keep this fairly short. I joined South Haven in 8th grade, and my classmates have made this high school 4 years just incredible, and I'd like to thank them for doing that. Now, today is graduation, and it's time for our paths to diverge. And we get to start the first day of the rest of our lives. Things change and stuff happens, but I know wholeheartedly that each of you possesses the ability to overcome any challenge that you'll face in your future. And good luck to you guys. Once again, thank you all for coming. I kept this pretty short.
Thank you, Cole. Now to give the valedictory address is 2023 class valedictorian, Britton Dark.
Good afternoon and congratulations to the graduating class of 2023. I know many of you are probably wondering how we're graduating, but don't worry, we're asking ourselves the same question. The point is, somehow we all made it and are now faced with the big question, what's next? Some of us seem to have it all planned out, while others have no idea yet, but we all share the reality that our time here at South Haven has ended. We thought this day would never come, but sure enough, it has arrived. But before we take our separate paths, I'd just like to reminisce one last time on the memories we have all made together. I remember my first day at South Haven, nervous to meet the class I'd be a part of until graduation, but luckily we turned out pretty chill in the end. Getting through middle school was definitely difficult for all of us, though. There would be many days we would come in English from PE, aggressively writing in our journals about one of our neighbors. Our hands would be on fire and the paper would nearly tear as we wrote, but we all seemed to write endlessly until time was called and that paper was folded, ensuring that no one would read what we had to say about our classmates. Thankfully, as we moved into high school, we all mellowed out and things became more enjoyable. Our best memories had to come from either math breaks or our field trips, though. One time, we built a double-decker picnic table while reading Lord of the Flies, and once on a field trip, we watched Chance throw onion rings on oncoming cars. We also made some great memories on the senior trip. A whole delirious class packed into one house among parents and our English teacher was definitely a recipe for something interesting. Well, to be honest, I was the only delirious one. We started the trip off strong with Petty John's awful driving. We think he only has a learner's permit though, and that's why it took so long for us to get the rental cars. In the end, it wasn't that bad though. He only hit a bush once and parked in the middle of the intersection twice. His personal best. Speaking of our best, Elise accomplished her goal of punching a manatee. Overall, it was a great trip, 10 out of 10 recommend. As I look back at these interesting times, I can't help but think of everyone that helped to make this time here so unforgettable. First of all, thank you to my fellow classmates. I definitely couldn't have asked for better ones. This ride would have been dull without the laughs with the girls, comedic relief from Chance, Ty's confusion, Cole's random knowledge, and Drew's special appearances. Next, I'd like to thank the administration. Special shout out to Reed, Pettyjohn, and Mr. Winder. You guys were the coolest teachers and made it all bearable, so thank you for that. Thank you to the rest of you that pushed me and my classmates to excel. We appreciate all that you have done for us throughout the years. I'd also like to thank those of you who were like second families to me. Mike and Rianne, I will never forget the many years you coached me and all the memories we made on and off the court. Thank you for being there for me through the good and the bad and always finding a way to get me out of my own head, no matter how hard I resisted. Thank you, Ashley, too. You guys have been a second family to me as well. I appreciate the dinners for all of the dinners and teaching me about football. A special thank you to my real family, too. You all have been there since day one to ensure I grew up to be the best person I could possibly be. I appreciate the dedication when it came to support at my games and offering any life advice when needed. Lastly, I would like to thank my mom. There is no way I would have been able to do this without you.
Thank you, Britton. And now to present the Above and Beyond Awards, USD 509 Board President, Steve Nicholson.
The demands on a high school student's time seem to increase every year. Students today are pulled in many directions by responsibilities both inside and outside of school. Yet, some students still go far beyond what is expected of them. This year's recipient has excelled in the areas of academics, athletics, and leadership. He has earned over 30 college hours from Cowley County Community College, done an internship in a law office, and worked in his family business. All of this while continuing to demonstrate high academic achievement in the classroom. It is my pleasure to present this year's Senior Above and Beyond Award to Cole Weens. Tony Wolf and Glennis Zimmerman. Mrs. Tony Wolf's teaching career spans 55 years, beginning in Madison, Kansas. She retired from the Caldwell School District in 2012 and has since served South Haven and surrounding districts as a substitute teacher. For the 2021 school year, Mrs. Wolf served as South Haven's long-term middle school English teacher. Mrs. Glennis Zimmerman has been an educator for nearly 40 years. In the Wellington School District, she served as a math teacher, curriculum director, and assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. Followed by the Winfield School District, where she served as the assistant superintendent of business, retiring in 2009. She served on the South Haven Board of Education for 8 years, and has continued serving as a substitute teacher for South Haven and surrounding districts. In the fall of 2022, when our district was in great need of a secondary math teachers, these two selfless ladies, again, stepped up to serve our students when called upon. In addition to teaching math to all of our eighth grade through senior students, they also participated as sponsors of the South Haven Math Relays team. Mrs. Wolf and Mrs. Zimmerman have both served USD 509 with the highest integrity. I am very proud to present with them the 2023 South Haven Schools Above and Beyond Awards. Thank you, Glenn.
Okay, if I could get the graduates to please stand and move to the stage at this time. Parents, friends, and relatives, the following students have met the requirements set forth by the Kansas State Board of Education and the USD 509 Board of Education and are duly qualified to graduate from South Haven High School. Ty Ryder Browning. Camden Lane Butler. Drew Anthony Clark. Britton Blythe Dark. Chance Delbert Palmer. Anna Marie Shore. Syra Noble Stuckey. Taylin Elise Wardick. John Cole Weens. We could do with all those. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege to present to you the South Haven High School class of 2023. The graduates will return momentarily for pictures with family. Thank you all for coming.